What does it mean to be a father when the world you live in is built on power, fear, and survival? Is fatherhood about blood, authority, or something deeper, something chosen? The story of Whitebeard is not just about strength or legend. It's a profound psychological exploration of identity, belonging, and the legacy a person chooses to leave behind. Because Whitebeard, unlike many powerful figures, didn't seek domination, control, or even wealth. What he wanted was simple, but incredibly rare in a broken world: a family. And that desire alone tells you everything about his psychology. When someone who has the power to rule the world chooses connection over control, it reveals a mindset that operates on a completely different level. Whitebeard's life is shaped by a deep understanding of absence. He grew up without the stability of family, without the sense of belonging that most people take for granted. And when a person experiences that kind of emotional gap, it creates one of two paths. They either detach from the idea of connection altogether, convincing themselves they don't need anyone, or they spend their life trying to build what they never had. Whitebeard chose the second path. But here's what makes it powerful. He didn't just build a crew, he built a system of belonging. Every person under his flag wasn't just a subordinate, they were his sons. And this wasn't a title given lightly, it was a psychological commitment. It meant protection, loyalty, responsibility, and most importantly, unconditional acceptance. From a mindset perspective, this is extremely rare, especially in a world driven by hierarchy and power. Most leaders operate through control. They maintain authority through fear, status, or reward systems. But Whitebeard leads through identity. He doesn't force loyalty, he creates it. And the reason that works is because people are not just driven by survival, they are driven by belonging. When people feel like they are part of something meaningful, something that sees them and values them, they will go beyond what logic alone would dictate. Whitebeard understood this instinctively. He didn't need to manipulate or dominate because he gave his crew something far more powerful than fear. He gave them a reason to stand, to fight, and to live. But this is where the psychology becomes even deeper. Whitebeard's identity is not just built around being strong, it's built around being needed. And this is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it creates purpose, direction, and emotional connection. On the other hand, it can lead to self-sacrifice at a level that ignores personal limits. Whitebeard doesn't just protect his crew, he carries them. He takes responsibility for their safety, their future, their survival. And this level of responsibility shapes his decisions in ways that go beyond strategy. It becomes personal. When one of his sons is in danger, it's not just a tactical situation, it's emotional. And that emotional connection is what drives him to make the ultimate decision during the Marineford War. When Portgas d'Ace is captured, Whitebeard doesn't hesitate. He declares war on the world itself. Not because it's logical, not because the odds are in his favor, but because from his perspective, there is no choice. This is what fatherhood means to him. You don't calculate the value of your child, you act. And this is one of the most powerful aspects of his mindset. He operates from principles, not convenience. In a world where many people adjust their values based on circumstances, Whitebeard remains consistent. And that consistency is what defines his legacy. But there's also a deeper psychological layer to this decision. Whitebeard is aware of his mortality. He knows he is not as strong as he once was. He understands that this war could be his end, and yet he moves forward anyway. This is where his mindset shifts from preservation to legacy. Because when a person reaches a certain level of awareness, they begin to think beyond themselves. They stop asking, "How do I survive?" and start asking, "What do I leave behind?" And for Whitebeard, the answer is clear. He doesn't want to be remembered as the strongest man. He wants to be remembered as the man who never abandoned his family. During the war, we see the full expression of his philosophy. Despite overwhelming opposition, despite injury after injury, Whitebeard continues to stand. Not just physically, but symbolically. He becomes a pillar, something unshakable in the middle of chaos. And this is important from a personal development perspective, because strength is not just about physical ability, it's about emotional resilience. It's about the ability to stand firm in your values, even when everything around you is falling apart. Whitebeard doesn't fight because he believes he will win. He fights because it aligns with who he is. And that's a level of integrity that most people struggle to reach. His final moments reveal the true depth of his character. Even as he faces death, he doesn't show fear. He doesn't retreat. He stands tall, literally and figuratively. And in doing so, he sends a message that goes beyond words. He proves that a life built on purpose is not measured by how long you live, but by how you live. His death is not a defeat. It's a statement, a declaration that his values, his beliefs, and his identity remain intact until the very end. And that's what transforms him from a powerful man into a legendary one. From a personal development standpoint, Whitebeard's story teaches us several critical lessons. First, that true leadership is not about control. It's about responsibility. It's about creating an environment where people feel valued, protected, and seen. Second, that purpose is not found in what you accumulate, but in what you build with others. Whitebeard had the power to pursue wealth or dominance, but he chose connection. And that choice gave his life meaning far beyond material success. Third, that legacy is not something you leave at the end of your life. It's something you build through your actions every single day. The way you treat people, the values you stand for, the consistency of your character, these are the things that define how you will be remembered. But perhaps the most important lesson is this: strength without connection is empty. You can have power, influence, and status, but if you don't have people you care about, if you don't have something that gives your life emotional meaning, it will never feel complete. Whitebeard understood that at the deepest level, and that's why in a world full of pirates chasing treasure, he was chasing something else entirely, a sense of belonging. In the end, Whitebeard's story forces you to ask a powerful question. What are you building? Are you chasing success, recognition, and control? Or are you building something that will outlast you? Because one day, like Whitebeard, you will reach a point where strength alone is not enough. And in that moment, the only thing that will matter is the impact you had on the people around you. The relationships you built, the values you stood for, the legacy you created. And if you can stand at the end, knowing that you gave everything to something meaningful, then like Whitebeard, you didn't just live, you mattered.